So that's happening. Okay, so welcome to workshop B, which is called Visual Changes, Support Stance, and Positive Physical Approach. And those are the things that we'll be talking about, is the fact that there are visual changes that happen when one is living with dementia that require that we think more about how we present ourselves physically, how we be around people so that we are in what is called a supportive stance, and how we then translate all of that into the way that we actually approach a person, which is called the positive physical approach. So we'll start today by watching a video, 5 minutes, of Teepa telling you what it's all about.
Is how do you approach somebody so that you can get connected, so you can do anything. So turn and face your partner in your chairs. Now, what's the first way we want to connect? Visually. We want to get them paying attention to us visually. Well, in order to do that, you need to understand what skill they have and what they've lost. Here's what I want you to do. Everybody do this carefully so don't whack each other. Look straight ahead and wiggle your fingers out to the side. While you're looking straight ahead, what you're doing is you're being curious out in front. Off to the side, what you have is peripheral awareness for safety issues. This is your peripheral awareness. If you're a 20-year-old, you may very well be able to notice your fingers wiggling while you're looking straight ahead. If you're not a 20-year-old or you're stressed out, you're going to have to bring them forward so you can find them. So a 20-year-old who's not stressed has a full 180 of awareness with about a 145 of actual visual. Because you can't see the edge, you just notice things and it makes you turn and look. This is your safety vision. This is the curiosity vision. People with dementia are going to lose what first? Safety. Even with normal aging. Do the 20-year-old, 180. Come in 45 degrees on each side and make a circle. By the time you're 75 without dementia, because of speed changes in processing, this is your new visual field. So a 75-year-old has already lost 45 degrees on both sides. And the top and bottom, just so you know. Somewhere around 45 or 50, you might have noticed when you were walking with a friend and almost tripped. And then you looked down and noticed that thing you missed. But because the reaction time was quick enough, you didn't go down, you caught yourself. By 75, you're not going to catch yourself, and you're going to have the wrist fractures, the elbow tear-outs, the rotator cuff tears, the break the humeral, bust your knees up, tear up your ankle, or break your hip. Normal aging, vision change. Nobody tells us about it or teaches us how to compensate. So go to 45. This is normal at 75. Now, if you check this brain up here, this, by the way, is a 20-year-old with no brain disease over there on your left and an 80-year-old with no brain disease, and you already see a difference in visual processing. They can't take in as much data, guys. That's just how it is. We're slower to process visual data. Take a look at the bottom there and notice changes. Whoa, much more significant changes. So between normal aging, because those people the same age, they're just have dementia or don't. Go to the 45. We've already lost 45 with normal aging. I want you to come in about 20 more degrees and create a circle. This is the visual field of somebody in early stage dementia, in which case only 7 out of 10 of them do not yet have a diagnosis. Only 3 out of 10 have been diagnosed under current conditions. So here's what I want you to realize. What they have is a term I call diving mask vision. So I want you to call it scuba vision. Go ahead and say scuba vision. Okay, so put on the scuba mask. What it mostly does is block the sides, the top, but you have an open area right over your nose. Okay? Now here's what I want you to do, one at a time. One of you drop your hands because you're going to approach the person. And what I want you to do is, caregiver, get directly in front of them at arm's length, face to face. Face your person front on at arm's length with their scuba vision. Now take off the scuba vision and notice how different it is when you do not have somebody taking up your whole visual field. Remove your scuba. Does it feel different? Do it again. Let the other person do it. Hey. Remove it. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Without realizing it, when you get in front of a person who might have dementia and you lean in so that they can see you clearly, you are attacking them visually because of the limitations in vision. They think you're blocking them in and there's no way out. You don't see it that way because you don't have dementia. You can see the whole person, so you're thinking, I don't know why she's acting like that. Stand in or sit in front of your person, and the term for this is called confrontational stance. Say it. Confrontational. You're confronting them. Is that what you meant? What did you want to do? Help?
Okay. Some new stuff?
Yeah.
Familiar with some of this stuff? Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. You are going to pair up. So a pair, and a pair. And Stephanie, you and I could pair up. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is ask all of you, we're going to do some of the things that we saw them do in that video. Give yourselves a little space. If you need to push your chairs back a little bit, that's okay. And what I want you to do is, let's go ahead and hold our arms out and look at what the peripheral field of vision is like for somebody who is in their 20s. Now, if you wiggle your fingers all the way out here and you're looking straight ahead, can you see your fingers wiggling? I can't. Now, what I tend to do is I cheat and I fold my hand in like this so I can pretend I'm 20, but that's not fair. Now, let's go more out to, say, 45 degrees, where it is intended to be the peripheral vision. That's probably more what it's like for folks here. Does that make sense? Or where, I want you to find for yourself, where is your peripheral vision? Field of vision. Mine is right about here. Yeah. So go ahead and just rest your arms for a second. Now, what Tifa talked about in that video is the idea that when somebody is in early stage dementia, and she said, so this is when probably 70% of people are not yet diagnosed, and yet there are already visual changes that they are starting to live with, that they may or may not be aware of. And so she talked about the fact that this would be, if we were at 45 degrees, coming in a little bit more and having this kind of vision that she referred to. Do you remember what she called that? Scuba vision. Let's go ahead and give ourselves scuba vision. Scuba vision. So if you're looking at your partner with scuba vision, and you guys, what I'd like you to do is move in a little closer, so you're about 1 arm's length between each other. There you go. So we're at scuba vision, and now what I want you to do is drop your arms, and notice how different that is, that field of vision, whether I'm scuba vision or not scuba vision. It's quite different, isn't it? The next thing that I would like you to try with that, staying in your pairs, is that one of you is going to be the person who is living with dementia, and the other person is going to be the care partner. So decide who's going to be which first. You'll be dementia. So the person who's living with dementia, go ahead and put on your scuba mask. And then what I'm going to do as the person who doesn't have dementia is I'm going to move in real close with a big smile. Hey, how's it going today? Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Now, the person with dementia, go ahead and drop your hands. And now I'm going to say hi again. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how are you? Yeah. Now switch places and try both of those things. I'll be the person with dementia.
Hey, how are you doing today, Allison?
Yeah. How are you doing?
How's it going?
Hi there. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing today? Okay.
Isn't that awful? It's
It's awful. Yes. So let's talk about what we just experienced. So I have a question for you. First of all, how did it feel to have that scuba mask on? What can you share?
really narrow.
Confining,
Confining.
intimidating.
Yes. Intimidating. Scary. Yes, absolutely. And how was it different than when you took the mask off?
Freeing,
Yeah.
Freeing. Yes.
much more open, yeah.
And when that person came right in, hey, how's it going? Right into occupying your entire field of vision, how did that feel for you?
I step back.
You stepped
I
back.
got hit in the nose.
You got, you got hit in the nose. Absolutely. What did Tifa call it when that person is, when somebody comes in on us like that? That the stance that they're having is
Confrontational.
confrontational.
Threatening.
Confrontational. Threatening.
Threatening.
I don't see a way out.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yes. So, what might a person with early stage dementia do in response if you approached them in this way? Just got right in their
They
face.
just retreat, they just move back.
They might retreat
They might-
and move
they
back.
might hit you.
They might hit you. Right. Yes. They might react as a person who feels trapped.
They might close their eyes.
They might close their eyes. Yeah. It seems like not a whole lot of good is going to come out of it. And so is this what we're trying to do? To intimidate people who are living with dementia?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So what should you not do when you want to communicate with someone you suspect might have early dementia?
Don't walk up close.
Or
Make a noise.
Don't walk up close, don't walk right up close, don't make a noise, don't be too fast. Right, all of these
Let's
things.
stay in front of them,
Stay in front of them.
instead off to the side.
We're going to talk a little bit about that, about where do I stand to be the least confrontational person possible. So we're going to go back to our video, watch a little bit more, and continue on as we learn what is the positive physical approach.
According to the video, you're supposed to sit off to the side.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so this is what you're gonna do. Here she is, and I wanna talk to her. You put your scuba on. I'm gonna step to the side, keep my face facing her, but turn my shoulder outward. Drop the vision, and there's no big difference. Try it, because I want you to realize this term, supportive stance. Confrontational. The only difference was my shoulder. When I cued her visually that you could get out, she relaxed, because I'm in support, not in confrontation. Try it.
Okay. Well, we're going to do what she said. We're going to try it. So for this one, if you don't mind standing up. And Stephanie, would you come here and be my example person? This is great. So here we are. She's got her scuba mask on, and I am right here, versus me maintaining eye contact but moving my shoulder. That's I'd like each of you to try that with your partners. One of you has the scuba mask on. We then adopt a supportive stance. And I'd like to try it myself. Okay, go ahead. I do. Yes. Yes. Yeah. It is. It really is amazing what a difference it makes. Yeah. So have a seat after you've had a chance to try that.
It's better.
So which feels better?
Oh, that one does.
With the shoulder back, eh?
Yes.
With the supportive stance? And so which person would you rather interact with? Somebody who's right there or somebody who's got their shoulder to the side?
Other side.
Somebody with their shoulder to the side.
Yeah.
And if you had dementia, which do you think would be the more comforting stance?
Oh, definitely to the
To
side.
have that person who's off to the side a bit. Do we always know who has dementia?
No.
No,
What did they say? 70%
people don't know.
of people don't know they have it yet. And so therefore,
This is gonna
so who should we consider using supportive stance with?
Everybody.
Everybody.
With everybody, yeah. without dementia is stressed out or distressed in some way, will a confrontational visual approach tend to make it better or worse?
Worse.
Will make it worse. Why will it make it worse?
Well, they feel threatened
Because it's
anyway.
scary.
I feel threatened, I feel scared. All of those negative emotions that we identified previously. Yeah.
I just
So-
did this on my knees today.
And so we are looking at supportive versus confrontational. Can you say that back to me? Supportive versus confrontational.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah.
Here's the next change in vision. I want you to take your scuba vision. Disease gets worse. Now I'm in mid-stage. Take your hands out here. This was scuba. Bring it in so your hands line up with your shoulders, approximately 12 to 18 inches across, and create a circle. This is now my visual field. So between early to middle stage, I am down to approximately 12 to 18 inches of a visual circle. That's all I can process. I can't handle more data. I've got to limit the incoming, and I keep the middle because that's my curiosity thing, and I'm less aware of the world around. So put on the binoculars now. Now go back to the diving mask, drop down to the binoculars. So put on your binoculars. Now, this is the visual field you have. Now, person get in front of the individual, smile at him. Make sure you're at arm's length. You want to be right at arm's length, and stick your hand out at him. Stick your hand out at him. Stick your hand out at him.
Oh, Jipper.
How do you go? Would you quit with the hand already?
Okay. Get ready to poke and be poked. So, while we're sitting, let's go ahead as we were in the beginning, where you're just arm's distance from each other, facing each other. And take turns where, as Stephanie is going to put on her binocular vision, and now go back to scuba vision,
Big difference.
and go to binocular. Yes, and here I am. Hey,
Oh.
hey, how's it going today? Yeah. Hey,
Much
how are you?
worse.
How are you? Right? Okay, now let's go ahead and reach out and touch the person who is the one who is supportive. Yeah? Okay. Try that with each other. And now I'll be the person. So there I am. I'm in binocular vision.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
So you
that's
can't even
really long. I can't even see it coming.
Oh, that's
So
terrible.
uncomfortable. Yes.
Yeah. He's gonna go home and try it on Dottie. Dottie, can you see my fingers?
Oh my goodness.
Appreciate
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
So, boy, oh boy.
That's an advance notice.
So when you were in confrontational position, which is what we were just in, and the person had binocular vision, right, because they're in mid-stage dementia, what happens when they're looking at your face and you reach out and touch them?
They don't.
Big surprise.
draw.
It's a big surprise. Would we ever do that? Would we ever actually reach out and touch someone?
We might.
Yeah.
I
To shake their hand or
Awesome.
something.
To shake their hand, right? Or, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Right? Or, oh, you have something on your shoulder,
Right.
right? There are reasons why I might do that. Why can't they see me coming in at all?
Because they're limited view, they can't see.
Exactly. Now, is it that people are actually, like, is it that they don't see beyond that? It's that this is the field of vision that is their primary field of vision. It's where their focus is because they cannot process things that are going on outside of that. And what reaction did you feel as the person wearing the binoculars when that person reached out to you?
You wanted to just get away.
Defensive.
You get defensive.
I hit you back.
You did. She hit me back. Yes. You want to get out of there, don't you? Yeah. So, have any of you had the opportunity when you've been working with somebody who you know has dementia, and you have come in from the front, or you've touched them without them expecting to? Have any of you had that experience?
Yes.
And what was that like? Can you share that with
They
me?
didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
No.
No.
It frightened them.
It frightened them. Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So surprised, and caught them off guard, startled.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And what might we have thought, or what words might we have used to describe somebody? All I'm doing is I'm coming in to say hi to her. All I did is I came in and said hi and she hit me. Right? Who's the problem here, in my opinion? In my opinion, it's her. Boy, all I was doing is saying hi. And I might have all kinds of words to describe that person. What might some of those words be? That person who just can't even say hi to me.
She always hated me.
She always hated me.
Get away from me.
What's that?
Get away from me.
Get away from me. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we would consider that person to be a little confrontational, mightn't we? Yeah. So what do you think now is really going on with that person who I thought was a little challenging to be with?
She's got dementia.
She's got dementia. Maybe I didn't really
Realize.
understand what was going on. Exactly. Okay. So when people feel trapped visually, or we touch them and they can't see it coming, what reaction do you think is going to be most common?
Drawing back.
Drawing back, getting a little combative, pushing you away, exactly. And so what might be helpful then? So here we are, I'm in a confrontational stance, that person has binocular vision, and I'm coming in to say hi. So based on what we already learned, what can I do with my body to maybe have this be a more successful interaction, even in middle stage?
Change the stance.
Go into a
Side.
supportive stance. Exactly. Okay.
I think I tried this already.
So let's go ahead and give that a try. Let's try this with our binocular vision. And you could do it, you could probably do it sitting, or you could try it standing. That if you have your, right, and I'm gonna be just this close to you, but now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, hey.
That's better.
And if I am reaching my hand over,
I still don't see it.
you still aren't seeing it. Yeah.
A little bit, but my hand is still there.
I
It's still
might-
low.
Yeah. Let me try that.
Sufficient right
Okay, oh, I'm gonna stay straight on.
there. Straight on.
And then maybe if I
Yeah.
come here,
But you see, you don't really see
I
that.
still don't see your hand, exactly. Okay.
it's all the difference in the world.
It's amazing. This is amazing.
So,
One eye, yes.
so was that any better for you?
Oh, that's.
Having somebody be at a supportive stance. But let me ask you, was there anything that was still problematic about it?
Still couldn't see the hand,
I couldn't really see the hand.
reaching out.
Yeah, I still startled you when I reached out with that hand.
And you don't know which person is touching you, really.
And so what does that cause you to feel?
Frightened, right?
Again, we're back to those negative emotions. Frightened, startled, etc. Let's watch some more video.
Because what do you realize now that I've told you what's going on here? They're thinking you're just going to be social, and all of a sudden when you do anything, it came out of nowhere and they're immediate flight, fight, fright. You're the one that started it because they did not see what you showed them because it was out of their range. So here's the rule. Because I know she might be all the way to mid-stage, and she still might just now be getting her dementia diagnosis, although people have been wondering for a while. What we don't talk about is the change in vision. Nobody talks about that stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to quit moving when we're double arm's length away. And the reason is that gives her a chance at double arm's length away, she can see a fair amount of me. If I'm up here, I've eliminated a lot of my cueing. And it also is threatening her. So I'm going to stop here, so I know she's in the center field here. She's got me. I'm going to give her a high sign. Hand near your face. Here's another heads up. Change your name tag so it's up on your right shoulder. The reason is when I want her to see my hand, travel up here, find my name tag, go to my face. I'm increasing odds that I'm going to give her the information that she wants when she goes to name my name. And I'll give her my name, but this is a heads up. There's no point in putting it over here. She's not going to notice it once we get going. Don't put it down here, or you're going to draw her eyes to where you don't want her to be. And then the next thing she might do is reach out and try to touch and see what it feels like right there. So here we go. I move in. And the tricky part is getting used to it. Hey, now what did I do right here? I gave her a high sign that said, look, my hand. And then I offered her my hand. Her eye could track that because I'm far enough away for her to track it. I'll know whether or not she tracked it if she reaches out and offers me her hand. Hand under hand, sideways, and now we're ready for an interaction. It's called positive physical approach. It uses everything we've learned so far, puts it together, and allows us to be in the same place at the same time, and her distress level will be quite low. She's allowed to give me feedback. If she doesn't offer her hand, should I keep moving into her space? Because she just told me, stay out. So what I'm going to do, rather than move forward, is turn my body sideways out here. Because I don't know what else has happened today. I don't know how threatened she feels. I can talk from here.
All right, how if we stand up again? Stephanie will be my partner. Okay. So what I want to do now is, Stephanie, go ahead and put on your binoculars. One of you, go ahead and put on your binoculars. And I'm going to stand 2 arms lengths away, which is about, if Stephanie's hand was outstretched, it's about 6 feet. I'm going to stand 6 feet away. And Stephanie, if I go ahead and say hi, go ahead and say hi. And put your hand up. I love that idea of the name tag and the hand all being on the same side. Hi. When I hold out my hand, do you see that hand? Okay. Let's try this now. If I take a step in, I'm coming in closer. I'm going to say hi again. Hi. When I hold out my hand, what happens?
Lose it.
For the person with binoculars.
Lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that 6 feet away really seems to make a difference in allowing a person to see who I am and what my intention is. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. So let's try this, where Stephanie in this case is the person who's going to have the binocular vision. I'm going to stop at about 6 feet away. I'm going to hold up my hand and say, hey.
Hey,
I'm putting my hand out. Stephanie, can you see my hand?
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
And now that she's reached her hand out, I'm going to come in, and am I going to stay right here in front of her?
No.
I'm going to try to the side. Yeah. Stephanie, practice that with Ed a few times.
You lost your partner, huh? Which one's
Hand is
which?
supposed
You
to
did
be
that last
under,
time.
Okay.
or we haven't gotten to
We
that.
haven't gotten to that.
Hi.
Yes.
Stephanie.
And then
Yeah.
take turns. If you have not yet had an opportunity to be the person with the binoculars on, put on those binoculars.
Have
Yeah,
her
maybe
closer.
I was too far.
Right there. Stay there.
No, I'm gonna swing around. You're gonna swing around.
You put your binoculars. Okay, now closer now.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Stephanie.
Hi,
You
I'm
see
Al.
my hand?
Yes.
You can. Right there. So let's not be close enough.
No, maybe I'm not doing binoculars right.
I'm Stephanie.
Hi, I can see your hand now.
Now.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that swing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Aren't we almost,
We're almost done. Yes.
I've gotta go,
So just a couple of last questions for you.
Hi,
yes?
I'm Ed.
So you noticed that when you had your hand, when you were arm's length away, one arm's length away, and I had my hand up,
I know.
and I was greeting a person who I know has a dementia diagnosis, and I put my hand down. What did we discover when I'm one arm's length away?
Can't see it.
They weren't able to see that.
No,
And so when I stepped back a little bit,
they were able to see it.
and then how did they respond once they were able to they either reach out or they don't. If somebody has reached out, that's when how fast do I move in?
Slowly.
Not very fast.
I move in slowly. So I move in slowly. How about if that person doesn't hold their hand up? Then what do I do?
Turn to the side.
I can still turn to the side and say what I came to say. Hey, I was just letting you know that they're putting dinner on the table. Or whatever the message is that I came to say. Another thing that I think is worth thinking about, not just for people living with dementia, but for everyone, is that I can use this as an opportunity to reintroduce myself every time I meet someone.
Yeah.
Is to say, hey, Bobby, Allison, how are ya? And then I come in. So I don't have to make Bobby feel bad about not necessarily remembering my name.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So a few final questions and then we're done. Have you ever noticed that people in mid-stage dementia seem to be startled or upset with you in your efforts to help?
Yes,
Yeah. Do you have a different appreciation for that now,
yes.
for what might be going on?
Definitely.
And what do you think might happen if a person was already upset about something else, and then I approach them without getting the okay, hey, I'm gonna,
They're gonna be really upset.
they'll be really upset. I'm only going to make things a little bit worse. So what do you think all of this might mean for those people who you are trying to connect with and help? We will have more more comfortable conversations, more welcoming conversations and communications, absolutely.
And both of you are gonna be happy.
And both of you are happier. Yeah, absolutely. That is what I had planned for today for this lesson. I'm sorry we ran over 5 minutes, but I really appreciate you. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Definitely.
Very.
And
Oh, my.
do you see how you might be able to actually use this in your lives? Is this something that something you think that you'll be trying?
Absolutely.
But you know, even when you come and make the speech to how to be a friend to
Yes.
somebody with dementia, I don't see why you couldn't do something like that, abbreviated, and have the audience do some of it just to see
Yes.
That's a great
how
idea.
different it really
Because
is.
it's amazing when you visually start this,
Yes.
because to listen to it, you don't visually see what it does.
With a wider audience.
I agree completely, and I have learned this technique a while ago, but in the preparation for coming here today, where I watched the video a few times and dissected the pieces, I think the way that Tifa presents it, where you start off as a person who has this field of vision, and then you feel like what it is to have field of vision, and then you feel like what it is to have a binocular vision. And in later stages of dementia, people move to more of a monocular form of vision, because it is too hard for the brain to take those images and flip them over and do all it, so I'm just going to use one. So these vision changes are a really significant part of what happens as people are moving through dementia. So thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm so grateful.
Very helpful, very helpful.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and close up shop.
So Allison, just really
Yes.
quickly, just